I'm very surprised that more than 24 hours have passed without full and proper disclosure to the public of Jamaica of the circumstances and the background surrounding this agreement between the National Resources Conservation Authority by way of a fiat apparently granted to an attorney operating out of NEPA and the matter against Tradewinds Citrus Limited. I am very surprised that with this matter making front page news of the Gleaner yesterday, and with all of the concerns that have been raised, we continue to operate under the cover of darkness about the circumstances. Yesterday, for those who were not here, we learned that Tradewinds Citrus, having been charged under the Wildlife Protection Act after an oil spill in the Rio Cobre in or around mid-December 2023, a couple days before the middle of December. They were charged under that act. And the charge is a criminal charge. And it's a very funny thing because you're charging a company, so it is not likely that any of the directors of the company will be facing confinement if found guilty. It's really a matter of fines imposed by law. I do not know what specific section of the Wildlife Act they were charged under, and it's part of the disclosure I believe that is to be made. But having had a look at the law, it appears to me that it is perhaps a section 20 offense, and under that section, a fine not exceeding $100,000 is the remedy. There's imprisonment as well for a term not exceeding 12 months, but I suspect that that is where an individual is charged as opposed to a company. What I believe may have happened, and I shouldn't have to resort to my belief, what I believe may have happened is NEPA, as the agency watching matters on our behalf through the National Resources Conservation Authority, they perhaps gave Tradewinds Citrus some things that they needed to do to remedy the damage to the environment. And Tradewinds Citrus may have done all that was asked and perhaps more. And the money that they spent to do all of that cleanup as a result of this spill is perhaps much more than the paltry $100,000, the maximum, which is the fine in the criminal court if the entity is found guilty. So the decision must have been taken. It makes no sense to proceed to even having a trial. So let us continue to talk, because mediation is always encouraged within the court processes, even for criminal matters where you juxtapose the time it takes to take the matter through the court, the costs for attorneys and everything like that. It may make a lot of sense for you to settle. But there's no good reason for this settlement to be made confidential. And in fact, if the attorneys for Tradewinds Citrus are insisting or were proposing that some sort of confidential clause be included in the agreement, then the attorney who has the fiat from NEPA should completely disagree with that proposal and let the matter go to a public hearing so people can see exactly how things have played out from start to finish because of the very crucial public interest in this matter. Now, I don't want us to be broadsided by this, because I interviewed counsel Marcus Goff yesterday, who gave the update. And I heard him as well as Kestenard Gordon of the Friends of Rio Cobre yesterday afternoon, again on Beyond the Headlines. And this morning in the newspaper is quoting Kestenard Gordon as saying, among other things, what are the terms of this secret settlement and why were the charges dropped? This decision undermines justice and leaves the community to suffer the consequences of pollution of a major river. When we estimated the damages, it was almost 12 million that would remedy the losses and the inconvenience suffered by the residents, most of whom depend on the Rio Cobre for livelihood. From my little understanding of court matters, though, listeners, there is no way within the context of this criminal charge against Tradewinds Citrus that the residents of the area who allege that they've suffered any damage, they could not get any money in terms of settlement within the context of this criminal case. And we must make sure we get it straight. In fact, it would be improper for there to be any negotiations with any of the residents within the context of this criminal case for compensation for the residents for damage they allege to have been caused by the spill. The residents are not without remedy, though, because they can bring a civil suit against the company. But I think they will have to establish exactly who is who, because this Friends of Rio Cobre, is it what kind of vehicle is it? The Fisher Folk, is it something that is a registered entity? Who are these individuals? I know, for example, for other companies, in fact, for most companies, there is a bond that is in place. And if some orders are given for things to be done by a certain time and the things are not done, as happened with one particular company in the recent past, the government has called in the bond. And even based on how the law has been set up, when a bond is called in, the money is to be used to repair the damage to the environment. And there's nothing in the law that stipulates that any money is to go to any residents who've suffered as a result of the damage to the environment. But I believe that when the bond was called in one previous instance, to which I just made mention, that some members of the community, they were given money. If they believe that the money is not sufficient, then they are not without recourse, which is to bring a civil claim. So I just make the point that it should not be confused that the cover of darkness settlement reached between the attorney who got the fiat and who was representing NEPA in the courts and the attorney for Tradewinds Citrus. It doesn't mean that people are without a remedy. But it is not the first time in recent history that we're seeing these public bodies going into negotiations almost oblivious to what is going on around them. They're not reading the room. And on top of that, as far as I understand, if you get a fiat from the office of the DPP, whatever you do, you're still doing it in the name of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. And I think in this situation it would be quite in order and proper, and indeed improper, if you did not seek the approval of the Office of the DPP to any agreement reached with the attorneys for Tradewinds Citrus in this matter. And if you wrote to the attorney at an earlier time, as I understand the attorney who got the fiat has said, I believe on November 5th was raised in the article yesterday. If you wrote to the office of the DPP and you don't get a response, you get on the phone. You make sure that they are fully aware of what you're doing and there is proper legal basis on which to do what you're doing. And at the end of the process, you cannot acquiesce to having a secret arrangement where the court from what we're understanding, and which is completely incredible that not even the judge didn't see it. Nothing can go so. And I've also asked for the court management system to investigate and to put out a statement on this matter as well, because as far as I understand, especially within the context of a criminal trial, prosecution and defense cannot, should not agree something that the judge has not had sight of and has not judicially approved. Because even in plea negotiations, the prosecutor may agree something with defense counsel, but it cannot be an order of the court unless the judge has approved it. So a lot of this is not making sense to me at all. We shouldn't have to speculate about whatever is happening, and we shouldn't have to wait more than 24 hours for full and complete disclosure with the details of all of this. So I certainly look forward to having all of those bits of information within the context of this program and before midday. A lot of things are going on. I understand that MOCA is on operation somewhere, and I want to link with them to hear what is going on, because it seems to be a big coordinated operation. Yeah? As such, I'm even prepared to shorten my views to go to that. We've been in touch with the people at NEPA to try to get a word. We still have been able to get a commitment from the CEO, the present CEO, Mr. Leonard Francis, about speaking. We've asked the minister with responsibility for it, who is now Matthew Samuda, portfolio minister for environment, but he wasn't even involved at the time when all of this came up, but it has now landed on his desk, and we do expect to have him on this program sometime today. And Minister, please publicly know that if you do make the time to come on this program, I do not desire having you without the paperwork before you come. I want to properly understand so the people can know the full basis on which this was done this way, and whether, in fact, the office of the DPP needs to perhaps indicate to the people of Jamaica the basis on which it even granted a fiat to an attorney operating in NEPA, when NEPA is an interested party in this matter. Through the NRCA, it is the body that has responsibility for overseeing, regulating, managing the environment. And if that is so, you want an unbiased prosecutor who is an attorney dealing with the matter in the criminal court. So I don't understand the basis on which a fiat was even given in this instance. But what is the protocol surrounding the giving of a fiat? And whether an attorney who is given a fiat is at liberty to take decisions of the nature of what was taken yesterday without consultation and acquiescence of the office of the DPP way in advance of the finalizing of the decision. We need to know. And attorneys of what standing get sort of fiat, and based on this, will the DPP's office be considering giving a fiat to any attorney coming out of NEPA? And if so, justify it. Because it seems to me, as I said, just from a layman perspective, is not a lot of money that Tradewind Citrus can be fined if found guilty. And they may very well have spent tens and tens and tens of hundreds of $1,000s over and above that already. But there is so much sensitivity in Jamaica about pollution to the environment, and in particular the Rio Cobre. So some people don't even understand the facts around this matter. And we may be thinking it's one of those massive fish kills that we've seen in the news at some time, so many months ago. Yeah? Was there a fish kill as a result of this pollution? And if so, how bad was the fish kill? If there was a fish kill, were some orders made by NEPA for some things to be done by Tradewind Citrus that they didn't do? And if so, was a bond called in, if a bond is in place? If not, just explain to us why things are the way they are now and why the people have not been given the full documentation. I keep telling us that democracies die in the dark. And sometimes some of these entities just literally get up and score an own goal. And this is definitely one of them. We desire full disclosure by before midday today. Should not have gone over even last evening when this news broke from early morning with this story coming out in the newspaper. We're going to try and link with the JDF, the MOCA team, to see what is going on. So I'm going to cut my views right now to see if we can make a link before we have to go to our conversations with the NHD as well. Thank you, listeners. A story we're tracking for you. We understand that there are now targeted operations on by the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency. We're joining Major Basil Jarrett for a full update. Major Jarrett, good to have you.
Hi, good morning, Emily. Long time.
Yes, long time. And I see you've gone back into the JDF, the JCF. What's your position now?
Well, I'm back through the reserves. Actually, okay. Right. So I do provide support to the communications infrastructure there at the JDF.
Okay.
So I'm still, yeah.
So you're in the reserve. I'm in the first squad. So
nice.
Tell me what is going on. What sort of targeted operations are on now?
Well, we've wrapped the operations. We had we had a simultaneous operation this morning, one in Montego Bay and one in Portmore. Yeah. It's in relation to an investigation that has been with the agency for some time involving the Heart Trust NSTA. The individuals that we're looking for are suspected to be involved in a $17 million fraud at the entity. We've actually arrested 3 persons. They have not yet been formally charged, but we've arrested 3 persons and seized evidentiary items from both locations that we believe will aid us in our work.
So how is it alleged that the $17 million have been removed from Heart Trust NSTA?
The details of the investigation I cannot go into at this moment. What I can say, however, is that the persons involved are suspected to have collected monies that were not due to them through the Heart Trust NSD, and it's something that we're concerned about because the Heart Trust is a very valuable and important institution in Jamaica.
Yes.
Whenever money leaves that entity, that should really be going to persons who really need it. It just makes the crime that more egregious. And
what period of time we're talking about in terms of years that these monies are alleged to have been collected by the individuals who are not properly due them?
I can't say. At the moment. I don't have that information with me. What I can say, though, is that MOCA takes a very painstaking approach to how it conducts its investigation. So when we do make an arrest, it's usually on the back of a very deliberate and delicate investigative process.
Right. So it's one person arrested in...
Three persons arrested.
3 in total, but you told me about Montego Bay and Portmore. So
yes.
It's how many in Montego Bay, how many in Portmore who have been arrested?
1 in Portmore, 2 in Montego Bay, and one of the individuals is a former employee.
What level of employment were these individuals? These are high-level or low-level employees?
I can't say. A lot of the information is just, the investigation is ongoing, so we're still keeping a lot of the information to our chest. So, Unfortunately, I can't comment on that.
So, question and answer coming up for the individuals later today with their attorneys?
Yes. That's the plan.
Thank you so much. Do you have plans for any other raids with this related to this Heart Trust NSTA matter?
Well, investigations are like onions. You as you peel one layer, you find yourself somewhere else, and you never know, depending on what the direction the evidence points in. Yeah. Sometimes the persons themselves will point in another direction. We don't know, so it's way too early to say.
All right. Thank you so much. All the best to you, Major Basil Jarrett.
You're welcome.
All right. We'll talk with you again as we follow this update. Are we going straight into